Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. All right, welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We are excited today because we got great guests lined up for the next couple of weeks, and also it's football Saturday, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Shane Matthews is going to join us today. And Shane, because Shane has his own podcast kind of on the Freddie Weeby network, I guess you would call it. But because he does, I've been on his show a couple of times, but I've always said, I don't know if he's busy, he's doing a show 5 days a week. But I said, hey, let's talk about you being in the booth for the first time for a home game. And also opening day for him. We'll have him. Of course, Monday, as always, Coach Spurrier will be in here. Can't wait to talk to him about what he thinks about the Gators. And then on Friday, this will be good. Next Friday, Josh Newman, who writes for the Salt Lake Tribune, will be in here and he's going to be in studio because he's getting in Thursday. I imagine that means that Utah, as a team, is getting in Thursday as well. And he wants to come up here to do some things about what is going on in Gainesville. And because, look, Gainesville, for people who live in Utah, is a foreign country. And Utah, for people who live in Gainesville, is a foreign country. I've only been to the airport. I mean, I've been through the airport. That's it. So he's coming to do that, but he's going to sit in with us and talk all about Utah. So it'll be the ultimate preview that you could have, somebody who actually covers the team on next Friday. And the next show we do will be Monday, and that'll be a Gator game week. We finally got here, peeps. I mean, it's been hard. And listen to these guys. They are running out of things to talk about. I know that. And as are we on the tailgate, every day. Today is the last day we won't have a game to talk about. On Monday, we can talk about Nebraska. Look, we're going to overanalyze Nebraska, Northwestern, and Vanderbilt, Hawaii, because I don't understand that either. Why aren't there more really good games? If you want, I call it week 1. I refuse to call it week 0. But the first week of the season, why aren't there more good games? It's not that hard. I don't understand the mentality of that, but it is what it is. Today was an exciting day for me, by the way. We got a new washing machine. That was good. So now we can wash our clothes. We went like 2 weeks without being able to wash our clothes. We had this washing machine that had a short in it, but if it would start and it would go about 5 minutes into it and it would stop, and you knew, oh God, it stopped, and you'd bang it as hard as you could and it'd start back up again. Well, after a while, needless to say, that didn't work out, and finally it just quit altogether. But we went on a trip and everything, so we got a new washing machine today. I'm excited. I was down to my last T-shirt. All right, let us get to the Hand Law starting lineup. And, of course, the starting lineup, as always, presented by the great Chris Hand at Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. I was reading something that was on Facebook about Chris endorsing a bunch of people for, I can't remember the job, but Pagine Hand, I can't say her name, Henry Hand, former mayor of Jacksonville, was one of the people. I want to get him on, actually, maybe next week we'll get him on and let him play Yes, No, Where, maybe. That'll be great. So we'll do that. But right now we'll do the starting lineup. At number 1, there is football tomorrow. Now, these are games you would not watch in November under any circumstances. These are games you wouldn't watch in your backyard in December if they were bowl games. But these are the first games of the year. We will watch them. A little later, we'll give you the Gainesville Quarterback Club games of the weekend, and I'll give you the times. So if you want to be like me, a football nut, which is what I am, we all know that. It's been established. You're going to watch them. And I have a thing about having to watch the first kickoff of the year. It's important to me. I might not watch the second kickoff, but I'll watch the first kickoff. The games, again, I just don't understand the concept of college football. It's okay to play on August 27th, but it's not okay to have a lot of good games. Now, we've seen good games, and Florida-Miami certainly on the week 1 game. I don't call it week 0. You know that. I think I'm eventually going to get worn down and have to do it. But that is the biggest story of the day right now is that there's football tomorrow for us to watch, and you can scout Vandy. How about that? If that's and you can scout Florida State against the mighty Duquesne Dukes. Number 2 on the hand law 3 things. The Gators started prep for the game against Utah yesterday, Thursday. And I mean that's now you're putting your game plan in. You put your offense in. It's all install and working on stuff and getting better. And then usually it's on sometimes Monday, sometimes Tuesday, where you kind of put your game plan in for the players. I mean they know it. They've been in meetings, but for a game like this, obviously you do it early. So Thursday they started their prep. So basically, they're in game week themselves. We'll be in game week on Sunday when game week starts. But the good thing is, no more talk about how good their food is and how nice their anti-gravity chairs are and parking and everything. It's just going to be about football from now on. And I can't wait. I'm ready for it. I know what I think. And some of it, I've been pessimistic, but that's why you watch football. That's why it's unscripted. You want to see the games. I can't wait for them. But they're at it, man. They're hard at work. And I'm curious whether there is like an emotional, and this is kind of going to be hard to put the right way, an emotional lift that, all right, we got done with practice. Now we got to walk all the way over there. Then we got to do this. We got to do that. Then we got to go to meetings instead of just walking right there. It's right there. Just walk over there. That's all you got to do. Get in a cryotherapy tank and you're set. All right. It's not a tank, though, is it? It's a room. All right. Number 3, I want to talk a little bit about the pressure on Anthony Richardson. And the reason, and we'll talk a little bit with Shane about this. The reason I bring it up is, man, this guy is getting more love than anybody since Tim Tebow in the preseason. And by that, I mean Tim Tebow's sophomore year, it was almost like, yeah, now that Chris Leak guy is not here anymore, the guy who won the Heisman Trophy or won the national championship. Robbie's calling me, so it must be something big. The guy that was the quarterback for the national championship. Now we got just pure Tebow. And there was an unbelievable level of, hype for Tim's first year. Obviously, he lived up to it personally because he was the Heisman Trophy winner. In Anthony Richardson's case, we've talked about this before, he's done 33 completions in his career, played good in spots, was injured a little bit. Now he is not only the guy, he is the guy, and he's from Eastside. So he's a local guy. He's the guy. And now I just saw, in fact, Jason, who's going to be one of our new producers, we were talking about this before, about how the latest one of these mock drafts came out and had him as a 10th pick. 10th pick. He's thrown 33 passes. He can be great. But the pressure on him, he seems to be handling it pretty well. There's a good story on at FloridaGators.com where Scott Carter talked about how he has kind of been able to deal with it. He went to media day and kind of got it all out. That was it. Okay, now I'm just going to concentrate on what I'm doing. I can't wait to see what Anthony Richardson 2022 is going to be. It could be Heisman Trophy-esque. It could be first round draft pick, could be top 10 draft pick. It could be he doesn't have it. Does he have the it? That's the question I have. Does Anthony Richardson have the it quality? I think he does, but I don't know. We'll have to find out. But the pressure on him, I curious how he is handling it. I think pretty well. I think with the guy like Napier, it's easier to handle it. Number 4 on the list, by the way, the SEC coaches preseason poll came out. None of it means anything, but I thought it was interesting. These are the 5 guys that were on the all-SEC team. Obviously, Trey Dane, Brenton Cox, Jervon Dexter, Ventrell Miller, and Osiris Torrance. And the bottom line is about that? That's the core of this team. The core is not Anthony Richardson. I want Anthony Richardson to be the leader and be a great player. He's kind of the variable on it. But the core of this team are those 5 guys. And if they play at a high level, Florida is going to be fine. They'll be all right. Again, those guys have been spotty at times. But the biggest reason I say they're the core, they're all in contract years. This is where I'm going to show. I'm going to put it on tape. People are going to watch me on TV. This is where people are going to find out what I can do. And if I don't do it, I ain't going to make any money. I shouldn't say I'm not going to make any money. And I may not get drafted very high or at all. So all 5 of those guys, it's kind of good that they're on there. Osiris Torrance getting a lot of love with the media and the coaches and everybody. I want to see this guy play. I'm going to try to focus on him a little bit during that game, or at least the day after when you kind of rewatch the game and everything. And finally, number 5, I know I plug a lot of the other things I do here. One of them is working for Gator's Wire, which is a Gannett company. Go figure. But I did this thing on, it came out on Thursday morning, I believe. And it was the 12 Steve Spurrier opening games, the best quote from him. And I had a lot of detail. I researched this. I worked really hard on it. So it's already the number 1 story on the entire, not just Gators Wire, but the entire Gannett website. But go read it. I think it's funny. It's typical Steve. We'll ask him about a few of those quotes on Monday. But, take a look at it, and I'll be continuing to write. And don't forget, again, plugging myself, starting next Saturday after the game, about 10 minutes after the game, you can go on WRUF.com and read Grading the Gators. People keep saying they miss me. We miss you. I go, you just miss the convenience of me. You can go read the back ninth every Monday. You can go read Grading the Gators. You can read all this stuff on Gators Wire. You miss having it land on your front porch. Anyway, all right, we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back with the great Shane Matthews, the first quarterback in the history of the University of Florida to win an SEC championship. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is the great Adam Brewer, and he has just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Pat Dooley's Story Time is brought to you by Eastlake Pediatrics. Nobody knows how to provide pediatric health care for little Gators better than Dr. Mike and the other board-certified pediatricians and the pediatric nurse practitioners of Eastlake Pediatrics. They have been providing personalized health care to the children of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties since 2004. And with the recent addition of Dr. Chris, who is also board certified in sports medicine, they are now offering care for youth sports injuries as well. To learn more about Eastlake Pediatrics, call 727-372-6760. And to get to know them better, listen to Dr. Mike and Dr. Carey on their Peds and Pop podcast on multiple platforms. Gator football is back, and the best way to get exclusive insight is a membership in the Gainesville Quarterback Club. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to speakers like coaches, Gator greats, and more. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-person meetings or for non-locals via Zoom with an out-of-town membership. Right now, out-of-town memberships are only $150. Sign up by September 3rd and get entered to win 2 Champions Club tickets to Homecoming versus Missouri, speaker presentations, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or call me, Pat Dooley, and I'll get you to the right people. All right, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast, and what a great pleasure to bring in on the Big Mills Zoom line my good friend and one of the greats quarterbacks at Florida, and, of course, does his own podcast here on the Weeby Network. Is that what we're going to call it, the Weeby Network? Pot Up with Shane Matthews. You do it every day, right?
Yeah, Pat, try doing that, my friend. It's a grind.
Well,
it's a grind.
I do work every day. I just don't do this every day, but it is a grind. You're right. But you have great guests, and you do a great job with that as well. But I wanted to ask you, though, I wanted to talk to you more about the fact that you've taken over for Lee McGriff to do the color analysis, I guess you would call it. What do you call it? What is your title now?
Color analyst, I believe.
Yeah. And you've never done a home game, though, right?
No. So I filled in for Lee last year on all the road trips, and obviously we're 0 We've yet to win a game. We'll be calling in the booth. So it's going to be. I'm excited about it. Obviously, big shoes to fill. I think Lee did a tremendous job all the years he did it. He took a little break there when Britt and Travis were playing. Right. But now he's got grandkids to deal with and watch on Friday nights. And, he and Mick had such great chemistry. And so it probably makes sense, with Sean coming in. We're going to crank this thing up with no practice and see how it goes.
Well, I was going to ask you, a lot of these guys talk about preparation work. And knowing you're probably just like, hey, I'm just going to watch the game and see what happens, and I'll tell you what I think about it. I don't know how much prep work you have to do.
Well, I don't think the color guy has to do all with the play-by-play. I mean, he's the star of the show. The color
Right.
analyst just kind of great throw by Anthony Richardson, or left guard, terrible block. You just kind of describe what happened. So, I mean, obviously, the biggest part for me, I watch a lot of college football, so I know the opponents usually. I love the game. I think the hardest part for me right now is, when these kids change their number so much, you get used to seeing this kid at number 8. Well, now this defensive lineman's wearing number 8. So that's the biggest thing. But yeah, there's really no preparation for the color analyst.
Yeah, but I mean, how much are you looking forward to this? And again, you've experienced the swamp at every level as a player, on the sideline, in the booth, but not doing the broadcast, but just doing it because your headsets are going to be on. You probably take them off a couple of times just to find out how loud it is in there.
It's still loud, Pat. They have the noise, so when Sean or the play-by-play guys talking, you could still hear some of the background noise. But yeah, I've yet to call one, and I don't think going back to last year, I sat in the booth for all the home games. We ain't gonna have an atmosphere like we're gonna have next Saturday night
Yeah.
with Billy's opener. Utah with such a good football team coming in here. I mean, you've been covering the Gators forever. I don't know if they've ever had an opener with a team this highly ranked rolling into the swamp.
Well, the only one was Houston in '69.
Houston.
Yeah, but I mean, and I'll be honest with you, Shane, the story, I didn't go to that game. And you know why we didn't go to that game? Because my dad said, I said, Dad, what do you think the chances are for Florida to win this game? He goes, they got 2 chances, nil and none. So we didn't go. We didn't go to the game, and then we're listening to it, and they're talking about all these fans coming in at halftime. They didn't go to
Oh,
the
wow.
game either. So they just wanted to see what was going on. They couldn't believe it. But other than that, yeah, for the most part, I mean, Shane, your openers, other than Kentucky, Oklahoma State was a Power 5 team, but they were on probation. They had all kinds of problems. They weren't very good. For the most part, your openers were not much to it. Although you did play the only 2 Power 5 teams in the last since Galen Hall.
Really? Well, I mean, you got to think that opener was very exciting for the Gator Nation, right? The Golden Child's coming home to try to get the program heading in the right
Right,
direction, and
right.
not there's no comparison. But Billy, with it being his first game, and I don't know if there's a coaching change leading into that Houston game. But it's going to be a tremendous atmosphere, being a night game. I mean, people are going to be tailgating so early. Um, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be fun. There's no question about
Well, the interesting thing, there was a coaching change after the season because all they did was
it.
go
Okay.
9-1-1, and they got rid of the coach, which is they had already decided. It's funny, they did decide before the season they were going to get Ray Graves was going to move on, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But for your opener, Oklahoma State, you had to be. I mean, was there any puking going on before the game? Did you get
No,
nervous?
I've never been one of those kind of guys. I mean, if you don't get butterflies, I tell this when I was coaching high school ball, if you don't have butterflies, it means you don't care. So you're
Right.
going to be nervous. And, coach was very confident. I mean, that's just his demeanor. And when your coach is confident, I think it rubs off on your players. And so we trusted his plan. And, I tell the story. I wanted to run the ball, throw a screen the first play. I mean, he caught a lot of grief with all the bull gators and gator boosters around the whole summer after he named me the starter of why aren't you starting a kid who's never taken a snap in college football? So we come out and, complete a deep ball about 30 yards on a crosser to Ernie Mills. And 4 plays later, Dexter Renab scores. And I don't think you could have written the script any better than how that Oklahoma State game went. But man, it would be great if something like that happened for Billy Napier.
Yeah, and again, that team was a little bit. They had some kind of probation. I don't know if they had been affected by probation or they were going on probation. That Oklahoma State team, but even Coach Spurrier said after the game, "Yeah, I'm not used to having better players than the other team," but
Right.
he was in that game, and certainly your second opener, I think, was San Jose State, right? and their coach was talking about how we're not going to blink. We're coming in there to win the game, and that didn't work out for him very well.
No, and I could be wrong, but I want to say Jeff Garcia was the quarterback for San
He might
Jose
have been,
State, who
yeah.
had a long run with the 49ers, and the Eagles played a long time. But yeah, we jumped on them early and kind of put them out of their misery.
And then for that Kentucky game, your last opener, your offensive line was so in flux, and you didn't know what was going to happen. But there were a lot of turnovers in that game. You could have beaten them. It was 35-19. You probably could have beat them by a lot more.
Yeah, it was a transitional year for sure. We lost, I think, 4 starters off the '91 team, and it was kind of like early in the year we played some dudes just to see if they could get it done, and then coach finally made the move. I don't know which game it was, but we went to the 2 true freshmen at tackles, Jason Odom and Reggie Green, who were outstanding players. But think about that. It was in 1992, Pat. True freshmen hardly played at all then.
Right.
But they surely didn't play on the offensive line.
That's right. Well, that's the interesting thing. I think a lot of people don't understand is that is the toughest place to make the jump from high school to college, because you're not blocking 260-pound guys that can run. In high school, you're just not used
There's
to
some
it.
grown ass men playing in the trenches in the SEC.
No doubt about it. All right, let's talk about this team. And look, I keep going like this. I'm on a roll. I'm on the same roller coaster Gator fans have been on, for the last 10 years. Hey, we're going to be good. We suck again. We're going to be good. I am with this team because we don't get to watch practice. You do get to go to practice. And I think Anthony Richardson might be a generational player, but then again, he might not be. I don't know if he is or not.
Yeah, time will tell. I've had people on my show, Pat, the last couple of weeks, when all these rankings in the SEC came out with the quarterbacks, people were furious. The Gator fans were, because Anthony wasn't in like the top 5. How's Will Levis a top 10 pick, all this? And I'm said, well, you can sit here and put your other hat on or your non-orange and blue goggles and go, how's Anthony Richardson a top 10 pick?
That's right.
So you don't really know. He is extremely talented. There's no question. But I love Billy the other day in his presser. He's only completed 33 passes.
Right.
Gator quarterbacks usually complete 33 passes in a game. So, look, I don't know what kind of players he has around him. I really like our running backs a lot. Defense concerns me, the front 7. They've concerned me the last 3 years. But Anthony's a guy who can take over a football game. I think he needs to run the football, whether the design runs or not, 12 to 13, 14 times a game. People are like, what if he gets hurt? You can't call a game worrying about a guy get hurt.
No.
You can't.
You can't win.
If
you
can't.
You can call a game. You can't win it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to let him play. And I would keep it simple. What they did in the spring game, I thought was great. A lot of RPOs, zone read, get him outside the pocket and let him throw it deep. Those are the things he does well. But I'm like you don't really know what's going to happen with this team. It's hard to say. This is not really an opener you would want. I mean, it's exciting for the fans.
Right.
But I have a good friend. He told me, he's like, look, Billy, the Gator fans, if the Gators beat Utah, they're going to think we're supposed to win the SEC and win the national title. We could easily lose the next 2 SEC the Kentucky game and the Tennessee game. You lose to Utah, the Gator fans are, here we go again. But then you could next week beat Kentucky, which that game means more than Utah. So it's crazy. It's crazy. I really believe if we can get to 7 or 8 wins, I think it'll be a heck of a year. I'm hoping for more, but it's going to be tough. I think in year 3 is the year he'll have the roster the way he wants it.
Yeah, and we've seen obviously a good recruiting class coming in, 18 4-stars. If you go just by, I mean, I don't know how they do the rankings, but if you're a 5-star, it jumps you up way up. But he's doing a good job, obviously. But I think the concern that I think Florida fans have, and I have this. I haven't seen a great offensive line here since the Pounceys were here. And this offensive line should be really good. But it doesn't mean they will be. Just because I know all the players, just because Osiris Torrance is a preseason All-SEC player and a preseason All-American, doesn't mean they're going to be any good. I don't know. It's another one of those, I got to wait and see what they do.
There's no question. I do think they're going to be pretty good this year. I think that's the strength of the offense, them and the running backs. I love the running backs. I love the kid from Louisiana. I think he's our best overall running back.
I like the way he finds holes, Shane.
Yes,
he finds
he's that kind of guy.
hole. Yeah,
he falls forward when he's tackled, and that's a sign of a great running back. But he can get downhill and he's powerful. I love Naquan Wright. He can do everything. Smart kid, and obviously Lingard's he has some ability. And then the freshman ETN is going to be a good player. But look, I just think that's what we're going to be. It may not be exciting football for Gator fans, but Billy, the object is to win the game. And if we have to punt it a bunch of times and hope we play good defense, that we'll do that. But explosive plays is the only thing that concerns me. Where are they going to come from outside Anthony Richardson taking off running?
Yeah, and that was part of the problem last year. The lack of speed at wide receiver. They had some good wide receivers. I like Shorter a lot, but he's not going to get behind the defense very often. Maybe Henderson, maybe Frazier, some of these guys at Weston. I mean, they've got guys. It's the same thing almost with every position where I go, hey, those guys have been around a little while, and they were highly recruited guys. Maybe with the right coach they'll be good. But again, I don't know that they will be any good. Yeah. There's kind of no given with this football team.
Yeah, you talk about the receivers. I mean, Justin Shorter was the number one receiver coming out of high school when he came out. Obviously, he went to Penn State first. But he's a big guy, a little stiff, but he needs to play at a high level for us to have a good year. The receiver that I like the best, well, I love Ricky Pearsall. He's the fastest receiver we have. Yep. He's the shiftiest. We got to get him the football. He reminds me a lot of Travis McGriff.
He does.
He's a little taller than Travis.
Yeah, I think he's 6'1", maybe 6 foot.
Yeah, same type of player.
Yeah.
I've liked Dejon Reynolds since the spring. I don't know if he's a redshirt freshman or redshirt sophomore. Hasn't played at all. I don't know if he's going to get in this rotation, but he's a shifty guy too. We got too many big guys. We need a variety of things. You know, there's a saying out there: you'd love for your receiving corps to look like a basketball team. You know, not a 7-footer, but all different size guys. And back when we rolled 4 or 5 wides out there, they all looked different and all did something really well. So, we got to make some plays where you throw a slant or a shallow cross and a guy can take it to the house.
Do you remember the first time that you lined up with 5 wides in a game?
Well, our formation was called Tiger. I don't know if that was from Duke's days of playing Clemson or if we put it in before we played LSU or Auburn. I don't even remember that. I should, right?
Yeah, no, but I mean, all of a sudden I remember at some point it became like a common thing where Florida would go 5 wide. And that was Florida football. This is not going to be a 5 wide offense, okay? Just so everybody knows.
But I will tell you this: they will line up in empty, which there are 5 eligible receivers.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a running back also or a tight end out there. But what that does, it really clears up the picture for Anthony. And it puts the defense in a bind because if they vacate at all the tackle box, he'll have a field day running the football.
Absolutely. All right, before we let you go, we have this game we play with our guests every Friday called Yes, No, Where. Maybe it is brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks, street dining done right. And, of course, if you go in there and say you listen to another Dooley Noted podcast, you get free French fries with your order. Let us start out. Number 1, does Bryce Young do what only one other player has ever done and repeat as a Heisman Trophy winner?
No.
Look,
I
if
think
Tebow couldn't
either
repeat,
his teammate's going to win it or C.J. Stroud's going to win it.
If Tebow couldn't repeat in '98, I don't think it'll ever happen again because, I mean, Tebow had the most first-place votes and didn't win. Think about that. And had a great year, got him to the national championship game. But, nah, I think people vote that way. They vote – they don't want to give it to you twice, you know?
Well, he will win it. I mean, I think Alabama's going to win the national title. Everybody I've talked to said
I like
this is
them
going to
too,
be
yeah.
They think it's going to be Saban's best team that he has. I think they're going to play Ohio State because I think Ohio State is loaded. I think CJ Stroud has a chance to win the Heisman. But if Alabama has the season everybody expects, I feel like he and Will Anderson are going to take votes away from one another.
Well, and there's going to be a sentiment to give it. If Will Anderson has a big year and they go undefeated, there's going to be a lot of sentiment to give it to him. And I had him second or third on my Heisman ballot
And
last year.
he should have been at the ceremony last year, but that was a joke.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Yeah, it was. What was worse, that or Rex Grossman not winning the Heisman in 2001?
Rex not winning.
All right,
For
number
sure.
2, Texas A&M is the third best team in the SEC.
No.
Next year
I
they might
think-
be.
Yeah, I think Jimbo has more pressure on him than any other coach in America because they've given him all this money, all these resources, bought the best recruiting class there is, but they've been going 8-4 every year. Same thing Kevin Sumlin did. If they don't make noise this year, I think the heat is going to get on him. I think Mississippi State is going to end up being the third best team in the league.
Really? Could be.
And they
Yeah.
now they could easily be the worst team in the league too. But I love their quarterback, and it's year 3, and year 3 quarterbacks really shine in Leach's offense, and I think they're going to be pretty good on defense.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I like that team, but the trouble is, and I've said this a million times, but to me, there's Alabama and Georgia, and there's Vanderbilt, and then the other 11, I have no idea. I have no idea what anybody's record is going to be. That's just the way it is. And finally, on Yes, Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks. At least the All SEC coaches team came out. Of course, one player, Osiris Torrance, was on the first team. When the postseason one comes out, there will be at least 2 Gators on the first team, All SEC.
Ooh. I'm gonna say no.
If they are, that's good. That means
I mean, we need some, but I don't see anybody being on first team All SEC.
Well, and I mean, I talked about this before. The guys that were on the coaches team, Brenton Cox, Trey Dean, Jervon Dexter, Torrance, and Ventrell Miller. To me, that's the core of this football team. I mean, Anthony Richardson is a star, but that's the core, and those guys have all got to play well for this team to be good.
I think for this team to win some games this year, and I said it on my show today or yesterday, the front 7 on defense have to play well.
Yeah.
Because here's what's going to happen. People think about, you go back, LSU ran it right down our throats.
Mm-hmm.
People can complain about the scheme and we're not trying. That's hogwash. They blocked our ass the entire game, and we gave no effort. South Carolina ran it right down our throats. Okay,
They did.
Well, let me tell you something. Utah is physical as heck. They have 2 legitimate tight ends that are NFL first rounders, second rounders. They play a lot in 12 personnel, which is 1 back, 2 tight ends. They also play in 13 personnel, 1 back, 3 tight ends, because they have 3 good ones. We better buckle our chin straps. But I think my long story short is the front 7 is the most important part of this team, in my opinion, for us to be some happy Gators.
Can't count on the humidity all the time, right? You got to go play the game.
Well, next year we're going to have to worry about the altitude, right?
Yeah. Well, I think
there?
it's actually 2 years before they go there. But
it's not next year?
I don't think it is, but who knows?
I don't know.
But
Who knows?
hey, by next year they could have 8 more teams could come into the league. Utah could be in the SEC by next year.
True.
All right, my man. It's always great talking to you, and it's great having you on the show. And anytime you need me on yours, I'll be on yours probably during football season a lot.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. And thanks so much, Shane.
All right, Pat. Take care, bud.
All right, thank you. All right, we got to get a break here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We'll come back with a lot of fun stuff. We got so many sponsors now that we've got. In fact, I got one. Well, we'll talk about it when we come back. We got to get a break. We'll do that, and we'll come back here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Pat Dooley's Story Time is brought to you by East Lake Pediatrics. Nobody knows how to provide pediatric health care for little Gators better than Dr. Mike and the other board-certified pediatricians and the pediatric nurse practitioners of East Lake Pediatrics. They have been providing personalized health care to the children of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties since 2004. And with the recent addition of Dr. Chris, who is also board certified in sports medicine, they are now offering care for youth sports injuries as well. To learn more about East Lake Pediatrics, call 727-372-6760. And to get to know them better, listen to Dr. Mike and Dr. Carey on their Peds and Pop podcast on multiple platforms. Gator football is back, and the best way to get exclusive insight is a membership in the Gainesville Quarterback Club. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to speakers like coaches, Gator greats, and more. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-person meetings, or for non-locals via Zoom with an out-of-town membership. Right now, out-of-town memberships are only $150. Sign up by September 3rd and get entered to win 2 Champions Club tickets to Homecoming versus Missouri, speaker presentations, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or call me, Pat Dooley, and I'll get you to the right people. Oh. Sorry, I was listening. I was making sure we had the new feed on there for that. I just want to make sure. All right, we are at our fun stuff here on another Dooley Nota presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We'll start off with the Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week. And, boy, it's going to be a lot easier going forward. You know, I should make it Pete Alonso. He had a big homer last night, a long homer. But I hate the Mets too much. I can't do it. Sorry. And they picked up a half game on the Braves. So I'm going to make it Olivia Gonzalez because she scored a goal against Baylor last night. I watched a little bit of this game, and it was her second goal in 2 games. So this looks like it's going to be somebody that's going to be a big factor for Florida this year. So Olivia, it's Alivia. Wouldn't you say Olivia? Because it's like they made it so it was the actual phonetic pronunciation of her name, like Olivia. You know, I don't even know what I'm saying. So Olivia Gonzalez, you are the Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week. Let us get to Hesser and Kipke 3 things. We appreciate Hesser and Kipke. As always, 3 things is brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a law firm in Hale Plantation, based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. Number 1 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. Quarterbacks are still being announced, but there's still a lot of SEC teams. We don't know who it's going to be. Today, Keaton Slovis is a quarterback at Pitt. Of course, former SC quarterback. We knew he would probably be the guy replacing Kenny Pickett. That's tough for him. Tommy DeVito is the quarterback at Illinois. Tommy DeVito was at Syracuse. Mediocre quarterback. Will be mediocre there as well. I think they actually play in week 1. We don't call it week 0 here. But LSU, still no answer. They said they think by Monday they'll announce it. Texas A&M, nobody. Ole Miss, nobody. Missouri, Auburn. All these teams are waiting, and I think they're trying to keep their guys engaged as much as anything. I guarantee you, every one of those 5 coaches, and if I miss somebody actually getting announced, and maybe it happened while we were on the air, all 5 of those coaches know exactly who their starting quarterback's going to be. But they want to keep the other quarterback engaged. They don't want them to start thinking transfer portal, 2 weeks before the game, and maybe if I don't get in this game, it is a tough road to hoe for these coaches in college football now. So we'll see who they end up being, but that will be way more interesting next week than it is this week. Number 2. Jerry Palm on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. Jerry Palm came out with his bracketology, and I like Jerry very much. We've had him on this show before. I think he does a great job. He's got Florida as a 10 seed. All right. I think right now Florida would take a 10 seed. I think Florida might be really good in basketball. It's a really tough league. I don't know how good they'll be. It's another one of those situations where you got a brand new coach and a team that's kind of going to have to find each other, with a bunch of transfer portal guys. We'll see how all that goes. The interesting thing, though, is he had St. Mary's as an 11. Now, Todd Golden played at St. Mary's, met his wife at St. Mary's, volleyball player. You know that if the NCAA gets a chance, they're going to match up Florida and St. Mary's in like that play-in game or something like that. If that it goes down the low. Look, I like looking at things like this. I get why you go, nobody cares, Pat. Nobody cares about what the bracketology is before they even start regular practice. I know, but I still like it. I like looking at things like this. And finally, number 3, soccer did lose that game despite Olivia Gonzalez's late goal. They gave up a goal with like a minute to go, 89th minute. That's the way they define that. 2-1 to Baylor. They're out there. They got another game against, I I'm not even sure. I think it's Texas. Texas or North Carolina on Sunday. But I'm paying attention to soccer because new coach, and I think it's exciting. Don't forget though, the volleyball starts tonight. They've got a tournament with a bunch of teams in here. I'm sure they'll roll through them, but I'm always excited when volleyball starts. I love Mary Wise to death, and it'll be interesting to see how they do this year. They got a pretty good team, as they always do. They always have a good team. Kentucky's still ranked ahead of them. I think Florida was ranked 17th in the first poll that came out. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. That is the Hesser and Kipke 3 things. All right. So it is time for our Gainesville Quarterback Club games of the weekend, and I'm going to give you – this is the way I'm going to do this year. I'm going to give you 5 in order. The order of the games that are important. And believe me, it's hard this week. This week, I still don't understand why week 1 cannot be more good games. Why can't Alabama and, I don't know, Ohio State play this weekend? Come on. You guys are all going to play eventually. Want to play this weekend. And Alabama always plays tough teams in the opener, but they're playing, is it Alabama A&M in their first game? But why is nobody playing this week that's really exciting? Anyway, doesn't matter. Here are they in order. And by the way, I want to let you know if you're thinking about becoming a member at Gainesville Quarterback Club or you want to get an online membership, first speaker on Tuesday night will be Scott Strickland. And I can't wait to hear what he's got to say. I'm sure he's going to be feeling his oats a little bit with the new facility being ready. And a lot of questions that I'm going to ask him, if nobody else does, are going to be about what are you going to do with the stadium now? Because that's the next project. How many chairbacks will you go to? How much will capacity drop? But I'm looking forward to Scott Strickland on Tuesday night. Always look forward to fellowship there at the Gainesville Quarterback Club as well. Good food too. Over at the Best Western. But yeah, give them a call. You give me a call. I'll get you hooked up with them. It's a great organization, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it very much. All right, the number one game, obviously, is Nebraska Northwestern over in Dublin. If it was not in Dublin, I don't know if we'd be that excited about it, but it is the only power first game of the year. Just to give you, I'm going to always give you game times because that's what really matters in stations. 12:30 on Fox. I will be watching that game. I promise you. I will be watching that game. The number 2 game for me, is Vanderbilt at Hawaii, and it's a 10:30 game at night. I'm going to really try to watch the whole thing. And in both cases, like if Nebraska loses this game, it's over for Scott Frost. There's no point in him even showing up for any more games. He may get fired on the tarmac coming back. If Vanderbilt loses this game, now they're in a situation where they may be in another 2-10 season. If they win this game, then they've got Elon. I don't even know where Elon is, but Elon, that's one. I can name the mascot for almost every school. Not Elon. I can't give you that one. I can't give you Elon. And they got Elon, and then I think they have Wake and Northern Illinois, which are winnable games because Wake, without their quarterback, we don't know when he's coming back. So there's no impact on the college football playoffs. There's no impact really on the rankings. There is an impact as far as what these programs are going to do, and I'm going to pay attention to them, and it's college football. The number 3 game is Austin Peay at Wake Forest, and for one reason. One reason. Oh, by the way, the Vandy game is on CBS Sports Network, if you get that. Austin Peay, the home of one of the greatest basketball players ever played the game, Fly Williams. But at Western Kentucky, it's a noon game, and it's also on the CBS Sports Network. It's significant for one reason. It's the first kickoff of the year, and I will be watching it. I'm sorry, I got to watch the first kickoff. I had to watch the first kickoff of preseason football. I'm going to watch the first kickoff of the NFL. I'm going to watch the first kickoff. I got to watch it. It's me. I'm a nut. I'm a lunatic. I get it. I'm crazy. My wife agrees with you. You should. So have you sat here and watched 12 hours of college football? Yeah, I I've got 3 TVs. I'm good. All right, number 4 would be Wyoming at Illinois, which is on the Big Ten Network, which some reason I get now, and I don't even understand why I get it. So I'll watch that 4 o'clock. That's a 4 o'clock game. That Austin P game is at noon. It's the first game of the year. Wyoming, Illinois doesn't do much for you, but Illinois needs to win that game. Of course, they beat Nebraska in the opener last year. And then finally, I'm putting Charlotte at FAU in there. It is a 7 o'clock game on CBS Sports Network. Charlotte, because my good friend Mike Hill, athletic director there, so I'll be rooting for him. FAU, because Willie Taggart, who I don't have a lot of respect for as a coach, I don't think he's very good. I have no problem with him as a person. I just don't think he's a very good coach as the FAU coach. So those are the 5 games from the Gainesville Quarterback Club. And again, Scott Strickland, Tuesday night, if you want to get out there and see that. All right, it is time for This, That, and the Other. This, That, and the Other, as always, is brought to you by Darshackow Insurance, by the Ballyhoo Grill, where we went for a cocktail last night. Enjoyed it. It was great seeing some people there, although Bill Reichert was actually at the Packers game. So I go home, watch the Packers game, and I'm seeing him on Facebook at the Packers game. So he had vacation. And then also, of course, Ironwood Golf Course. Took a week off from golf. I'm going to be out there early next week. I promise you that. All right, this is – I used to love to travel when I was young, especially. I would argue, we need to go to this game. We need to do – because I loved getting the Marriott points. I loved getting the everything about it. Everything about travel I loved. But as I got older, everything started falling apart. And I just kind of didn't want to travel as much. The that is the one place where I hated to go the most was Missouri. And the reason was, and a lot of people ask me why, well, Missouri, wherever you can't fly into it, you fly into 2 hours away and you have to drive. It's just desolate. And when you get to the press box, they have all these hooks. And the hooks are there, I guess, because people put their coats up. Everybody would bang into these hooks. Not just me. Everybody. By the end of the day, all the Florida writers would have just arms full of bruises. And I hated going there. And I said, you know what? We don't need this in the South because we don't need overcoats for games. And the other, this could have been actually an Eastlake pediatrics story time. But I'm at the Chick-fil-A Bowl, Dan Mullen's first year. And I nail a hook. They have hooks. Why they need hooks, I don't know in Atlanta, but I nailed one, and I nailed it so bad it started bleeding. I'm bleeding all over my shirt. I get down to the field at the end of the game, and Scott Strickland goes, "What's going on here? Your blood over?" She goes, "Yeah, blah blah blah." So his wife takes me over to the Florida trainer and patches me up. It was like scene from Hoosiers. Patch me up. And I was fine to go, but I don't miss being on the road, though. I will tell you that. Some way I got back to that. That is This, That, and the Other, brought to you by Darshackow Insurance, by Ballyhoo Grill, and by Ironwood Golf Course. I'm not going to do my top 12. I'm going to save it for Monday. I'm going to do it Monday. We're trying to get a sponsor for that. If anybody's interested in doing it, we had a sponsor last year. We're trying to get another sponsor. Let me know. I'll do my top 12 either way next week. But finally, today, the Pat Dooley story time. We are going to finish with that. It is brought to you by Eastlake Pediatrics. I did record another ped today, so hopefully it gets up at some point. But Pat Dooley story time brought to you by Eastlake Pediatrics, and we appreciate them. All right, this is a story I have to tell quickly because we're almost out of time. So this goes back to the 2006 National Championship basketball game. And we thought about this because we were driving last week to the Panhandle, and Karen and I were talking about how that year she put Kelsey into a car seat and drove all the way to Montgomery. They met people, the Sapps, Dave and Angie Sapp, who we love to death. They had an RV, and they went up to Indianapolis together. And she was saying, man, that's going to be the greatest thing in the world. And then she got RVs are not that fun to drive that far with it if you're not driving, if you're in the back. She thought she was going to be sipping margaritas. She said it was a little crazy. It was like a runaway train. It wasn't his fault, obviously. Last night she brings up that she wants to buy an RV, my wife, and start going around to things when she retires. I'm retired. And I'm like, I'm trying to think of a way out of it. I don't want to buy an RV because I don't want to sleep in a crappy bed. I'm a kind of an insomniac a little bit. So luckily, today when I came out, I go, do you remember how much you hated being in that RV, riding in that RV? It was kind of scary, blah, blah, blah. She goes, oh, I'm over that. I got over it. I go, it was last night that you told me that story. But the better part of that story is that they went to the Indianapolis and they had the greatest weekend of their lives. Kelsey, who was 5, maybe 4, and Karen and me. We all had a blast. That one day I'll tell you that story about what we were able to do. And it may start out with Brandon Zimmerman getting locked out of the hotel. Anyway, so that is our East Lake Pediatrics Pat Dooley story time. And again, next week or Monday, we'll give you my top 12. Of course, Nebraska may be in it if they win. But that's going to do it for another edition. Always appreciate the great Tammy for doing a good job. And Jason, who's trying to figure it out, man. Don't screw it up, Jason. I'm telling you. There's a lot of people who depend on this. That's going to do it for the show. We appreciate all of you. Oh, I almost forgot the Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. We were sure. I'm going to do it real quick. I'm going to give it to you. 2 games. Northwestern getting 12.5 against Nebraska. Vanderbilt minus 9.5 against Hawaii. Those you have to get them both right. Anybody who got in the quick picks last week because I screwed it up last week is I counted you as a winner. Okay, but there are 2 games. Northwestern getting 12.5 against Nebraska. Vandy giving 9.5 at Hawaii. That is our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. I'll post it on the Twitter and Facebook as well. That's going to do it. We got to get out of here. Until next time, I'm Pat Dooley. I am deep. I'm way back, and I am out of here.